Indian hegemonic designs are very clear. Not only that we say so, it is documented in their own documents. In the Indian Maritime Doctrine of 2004, it clearly mentions that the Indian Navy must control the choke points, and they say the control of the choke points will give them a big edge in the international maritime diplomacy. So the hegemonic design, that's what creates problems for collaboration in this region. An Australian writer himself said that, as it was mentioned, that Indians are trying to make Indian Ocean as their own ocean. In fact, he termed that Indian Ocean, they want to remove the N and put a apostrophe S and put as India's Ocean. So that is where the problem lies, and that is one of the reasons that this IORA, which was previously ARC, that the Indians do not let Pakistan to be participate in it, despite Australians trying it and all the rest of the countries trying it. They do not let Pakistanis to be part of that. So that is one major reason. A similar case like SARC, they do not want anything to happen, whichever thing can help Pakistan, benefit Pakistan, so they would not like that to happen. So that hegemonic design and anti-Pakistan sentiment, that is affecting the entire region, and that is affecting the Indian Ocean region also, especially the West Indian Ocean. The U.S., of course, for its own interest, is trying to prove, as Khurram also mentioned, to support India so that it can contain China. But my own perception is, and having been in China for a few years, that it is impossible for India to compete with China or to contain China. They can, and the Americans can keep trying as hard as they want to, and they will never have India supporting their motives or their strategic interests. Indians will always try to take their own advantage wherever they can, but they will not go all out to confront China because they know their limitations. And the Quad thing, of course, is getting momentum, and these regular exercises, etc. And because of this Quad, the four countries' collaboration, especially around Malacca Strait, and that is why it was Hu Jintao mentioned the Malacca dilemma. So this problem is there, and mostly India is trying to pose itself as a big regional power, at least in the maritime field, and which is a big navy, no doubt, but to be a real regional maritime power or to confront China, it is a long, long way to go for India, and in the foreseeable future, I personally don't foresee India to be able to do that, but it will keep trying so that it can keep getting more and more support from the US. Then Dr. Azhar talked about piracy. Piracy, ladies and gentlemen, of course, has been, as he mentioned, that it has been since the time immemorial. In fact, there is a Malaysian saying that the first boat that was ever built was to catch fish, and the second boat was to attack that boat and take the fish away from him. So the piracy is really old, and it was mentioned that Alexander was confronted by that pirate that I am doing this as a small boat, so I am called. This is true. And not only that, pirates were so strong in those days and supported by the relative governments, etc., that this famous Julius Caesar, this Roman Julius Caesar, he was also captured by the pirates, and he remained under the pirates for quite some time. This is a separate thing. This once he was released on ransom. He had to pay ransom, and after he was released, then he raised a fleet of own and then raided those pirates' hideout. And as it was said that they must be confronted on land, so their whole base and all the pirates were actually finished off, and they were all killed. But he was captured by the pirates, that's how it is. And pirates, this western part, they keep talking about it. They actually made them heroes. Buccaneers, privateers, all these fashionable names. This is what they're given. Or they say, or the pirates of the Indies that was mentioned, you see, the Spanish were looting the wealth of the South America, and their ships were bringing all that wealth, gold and silver and everything else, to Spain. And these Britishers and the French, they would, their pirates or their privateers or buccaneers as they called them, they would attack those Spanish ships and get hold of it and come back. And one of the pirates, when he came back, and of course they were given a marquee, they were given a letter that whosoever is getting this letter, so he is authorized to capture any ship. And there was an agreement that once they reach, the government will get so much, in fact, almost 50%, and then that admiral or whosoever is a pirate leader, he will get the rest. So that is the kind of piracy that had been supported. And the queen, one of the pirates, she went to the pirate ship herself and knighted him. So that's the kind of thing that is going on, and the same phenomena, as Dr. Azhar very kindly, correctly mentioned, that the Somalian pirates, those small little kids who were sitting there with the rifle, etc., were they negotiating? Where were the negotiations take place? They talk about this FATF thing that they are talking about Pakistan, that terrorism, terror financing, etc., etc. Where is this money trail of all the finance trail of all these pirates going? In which banks is this money going? And where are the negotiations taking place? All these, London and Dubai and the rest of the places. So if they really want to control it, that's what it is. But physically, how it was controlled, of course, once it got out of hand, was, of course, as Dr. Khurram also mentioned, that the joint operation by the world navies. And this Task Force 151 was specifically made against the piracy. And of course, Pakistan was part of it, and Pakistan has commanded it also many times. And this definition, as Dr. Azhar mentioned, the definition is very cleverly made, that it is for private ends. In case it is not for private end, it is for political end, for the government end, for those marquee, etc. So it is not piracy. So you can't charge them. And similarly, in the previous days, they used to raid the coastal cities also, coastal towns also, and capture them. Now, in this definition, that is out. That is not piracy. And this piracy, terrorism, or all these crimes out at sea, they intermingle. They are interlinked. So they have to be dealt with together. So this keeping it in the Aman 21 also makes sense, because it has not finished all those things. One thing is finished, the second thing takes over. And this piracy also, because there was so much of force, actually navies present over there presence of the naval ships so much, so they would like any dacoit, etc., they would like to go for a place which is least defended. So this piracy basically has shifted to west coast of Africa, or gone towards the further east towards the Malacca Strait, which in fact it started from Malacca, etc., this recent one, and then it had come to the Somalia. So it is not finished, and this collaborative action is the only answer, and which has to be taken by all these navies, and this Aman is one such action that needs to be taken. And Dr. Khurram mentioned about the collaborative security, of course, and he said that Pakistan, in this geostrategic scenario of competition, you can say, between the US, China, and India, all this, Pakistan should act as a bridge between these, and of course should not wholeheartedly join one group or the other. And that is, in my view, the best solution for Pakistan. And this is what Pakistan has been doing in the past also. Just to give you the background of this Aman exercise also, that as you all know, that in 2001, when there was this, after this 9/11 situation, and when the Americans came here and your naval forces in all this area, I was in Navy at that time. I was also involved in some of these things. So every morning there used to be a conference here. the Americans and the Pakistani, all three services, for deconfliction, especially at sea. Because at sea, the US aircraft were flying, our aircraft were flying. Our ships were present, US ships were present. So especially from the air point of view, it was always a confusion that in case, let's say our Atlantic aircraft, at that time we had Atlantics, our Atlantic aircraft is going, it is capable of carrying missiles. So if it is getting very close to the US ships, so they might think it as a threat and they might attack this. So to deconflict, okay, you will come only up to this latitude or longitude and not below this height, and you will. So every morning there used to be a conference over here. So there was this situation of almost confrontation kind of thing. But it was, alhamdulillah, there was no incident of that. Then we started discussing with the Americans that what are you trying to do with all these forces over here in this region, this North Arabian Sea, or especially off our coast. This is our coast, it is our main interest. And our main interest is that no untoward incident should take place over here. And that is what you also want. So why confront? Why not collaborate? And then we started talking with them that, okay, for collaboration, how to collaborate, etc. One example we gave them was that their P-3C aircraft, surveillance aircraft, they used to operate from Bahrain. I said they take off from Bahrain, they come over here, they waste some of the time, they try to control or talk to the fishermen, etc., those who are operating. They are speaking in English, in American accent, to the fishermen of this region. Nobody understands each other. They pass over time, whatever they can monitor, and go back, and you put a tick on your chart that we have done so many hours of 8 hours of surveillance. And net result is you have not been able to gain much information. We suggested to them, we had by that time two P-3Cs, which were non-operational because of restrictions since '92. They said, release them, make them operational, give them additional P-3Cs, we will operate from here. And this we can have an arrangement whereby we can collaborate whatever actual information is, we can share the information. So collaborate with each other rather than confront with each other. So eventually, slowly and gradually, these things got built up. And then we decided to join Pakistan government after deliberations and ministries level and all the government agencies, etc. involved. Then in 2004, we joined as it was called at that time, CMCP, Combined Maritime Coalition Force. That's what it used to be called at that time. We joined that, and that was eventually Task Force 150. And there was a lot of reluctance to give command to the Pakistani, because Pakistan is the only regional country in Task Force 150. Otherwise, they're all Western navies or Japan and others. So when they were giving up, there was a lot of reluctance, but eventually we got the command, and when we commanded, Pakistan Navy commanded Task Force 150 for the first time, Dr. Jeffrey Till had written an article that this is a test case. And that test case was so successful, alhamdulillah, as Dr. Khudam mentioned, we commanded it 11 times, we are still part of it. Even now, one of the admirals is in Bahrain commanding one of the task forces. And then when Task Force 151 was raised, which was later for primarily for piracy off Somalia, so Pakistan Navy joined that also. And once we developed so much of understanding and interacted with all these navies, so from 2004 to 2007, then from 2007 onwards, we started this Aman exercise, and alhamdulillah, it is graduating into an international, really big event biennially that we hold it. So alhamdulillah, the Pakistan Navy is doing a great job. In fact, I keep saying that they are punching much beyond their own weight. They need much of the government support and the public support to carry out their own missions. Thank you.